Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. In this video, we will have our discussion around the attributes of the 12th house. So we will try to understand the importance or the difference, comparative difference between the planets placed in the 12th house and comparing it with the strength of the 12th lord. So guys, it's the so-called concept of the Bhav versus Bhavesh. So we already had our discussion on the similar lines on the attributes of the 6th house and the 8th house. In this video, we will try to do the same for the 12th house. So guys, to begin with, first of all, it becomes very important for everyone to understand the attributes and the features of the 12th house, that what exactly does this house reveals. So to begin with, this is the house of the losses, of the expenses, of the exertion of the energies. So that in itself tells about that basis the nature of the planet which is going to be placed here, basis the house which this planet is going to be ruling, we will get to know that what exactly is going to be the kind of nature of expenses which you have to incur. But does that mean that this house only tells about the expenses or the losses? So guys, this is also the house of the investment as well. So the money spent by you for a bright return in the future is something which we also see from the 12th house. Second thing is that 12th house also tells about everything to do with the foreign land, foreign settlement, or any of your overseas interest. Third thing is that this is also the house of all those entities which are far away located from you. Like when we talk about this could be going to the prison, going to the hospital, going to the ashram, going to the monastery. So all of that we see from the 12th house. And lastly guys, this is also very important house when we talk about the prospects of the moksha, liberation. Like the way I always say that the religious austerities indulged by us or done by us from the 8th house is somehow in our control, but 12th house is something the door of which only gets opened from the other side. So that in itself means that the awakening of kundalini, prophetic dreams, liberation, all of that is somehow connected with the 12th house. Like guys, in a purest of the sense, if you have to see the prospects of the intuition, like out of nowhere you are getting this hunches, you're getting this premonition of things about to happen. So in all those kind of cases and attributes, you will see the 12th house to be somehow having a major say in the life of that person. And lastly guys, definitely 12th house also tells about like the state of your sleep and the dreams. So which becomes very important, like the way in lot many cultures you will get to know that the person who was worshipping a specific god, and that god appeared in the dream of that person and gave him the guidance. So the state of sleep is something which we also see from the 12th house. Now guys, the only way I mentioned that you have to understand this house in a way that if a planet is placed over here, all what matters is that you have to see the dignity and strength of the planet which is going to be placed over here, and then you have to make a comparison between that what exactly is the strength of the house lord, because at the end of the day 12th house is not going to be kind of diminishing its innate nature of incurring losses, and its strength in the chart will only tell about that in which with how much strength you have to deal with the hidden enemies, you have to deal with the concerns of the liabilities of the loans or hidden energies and all. And the planet being placed over here will tell about your capacity to deal with it. So let me give a very simple example. Like if your 12th house lord is going to be exalted, it's going to be in a very strengthened state. So that in itself means that if you are also going through the dasha of the 12th lord, expenses is something, exertion of energy is something where you do not have much of the control. Now basis the planet which is going to be placed over here and its dignity, like let's say for example if you are like destined to go through a time of too many expenses, and if we are talking about Venus being placed over there, so if Venus is going to be placed in a dignified state, those expenses could be made on something which is very legitimate, which is going to be adding more like personal happiness, family happiness in your life. But if the same Venus is going to be afflicted under some malefic influence, so you might start living a very hedonistic lifestyle as well. So that is how we have to see that out of the planet being placed over here and the house lord which is going to be in a strengthened state. And definitely guys, whenever we talk about the Dushtana Bhava, whether it's the 6th house, 8th house, 12th house, it is always a better state or situation if the planet being placed over here is more potent, powerful compared to the house lord. So now guys, after this we will try to place all the planets over here and we will try to understand the basic probable results of that. So let's start with the planet Sun first. So let's say for example, if you will find Sun being placed over here and Sun is going to be in a strengthened state. So again guys, like the way we always say this thing that 12th house energy always works behind the scene. So this could be a case that if you're already going through a film school, so rather than only eyeing for the performer role or an actor's job, getting into the direction might be more strengthened for you. You might be among those people who have very strong backing from behind. You could be a person who has got very prominent influential people who support you from behind the scene. So this is how you can see that if Sun is going to be strengthened in the 12th house, your recognition, your limelight and your kind of fame will come, but from behind the scene. And let's say for example, if you will find Sun to be afflicted in the 12th house, so again guys, it is not a very good energy because now it is telling us about the loss of your dignity, loss of your fame. And again, in lot many cases it has been seen that people who tend to have very weak vitality related issues as well. So if you have Sun to be afflicted in the 12th house, it will only indicate in that direction. Like the way we say this thing that like all those people who out of nowhere these days we are reading in the newspaper, people are getting the heart attacks while working out in the gym and so many incidents are happening. Or let's say for example, they're like, for your fall a very important prominent person became responsible for ruining someone's career and all. So if Sun is going to be afflicted in the 12th house, whether we talk about your relationship with your father, for your prestige, for your relationship with the important prominent people, an afflicted Sun in the 12th house is always going to be a matter of concern. So recitation of the Vishnu Sahasranam or the Aditya Hriday Stotra will become very important. Now guys, let's say for example, if you have Moon placed in the 12th house and if it is going to be strengthened. So again guys, it is a very good indication, like your instinctive faculties, your intuitive faculties are going to be very strong. Like this is one such placement where you can become a very successful healer, like anything to do with the clairvoyance or anything to do with poetry, art, creativity, import export nature of work, starting your own restaurant in a foreign land. So in so many ways, and a strengthened dignified Moon in the 12th house is a very good indication. Definitely guys, your intuition will work in such a dignified, graceful way that you will already, or you will get the premonition, or you have this capacity to foresee things in advance. So a strengthened Moon in the 12th house is a blessing in disguise only if you know how to channelize it. And let's say for example, if you have got your Moon to be afflicted in the 12th house. So again guys, it is not a very good indication because as you know this thing that if Moon is going to be afflicted over here, so that means 12th house is a house of unknown. So you will always have this fear on the account of hidden things, unknown things, things which are invisible, now which will somehow will border around the concerns of hysteria, anxiety, depression, hallucination and all. So it all comes down to that which all planets are expecting this afflicted Moon over here. What is the state and condition and the strength of the 12th house lord, because that is how you can understand what exactly is going on within the psyche or psychology or thought process of this person, how this person feel. Now guys, when we talk about let's place the planet Mars over here. So if you have Mars being placed in the 12th house and it is going to be strengthened. So again guys, like the way when we talk about all those people who are working in the military, army, policing field, they are away from their family for a long time and doing and sacrificing their life for their countrymen and all. So if Mars is going to be strengthened in the 12th house, it is a very good indication for doing something which is far away from your family your near and dear people, and doing those acts of bravery and fearless acts away from and in some new unknown and unexplored terrain and all. So every single time after the execution of one project, now you are being assigned a different project, a different territory altogether. So Mars being strengthened in the 12th house can work in this way, in this fashion. Now guys, let's say for example, if Mars is going to be afflicted in the 12th house. So again guys, all the attributes represented by the planet Mars, which tells about your relationship with your friends, with your brothers, concerns of debts, loans, liability, concerns of land, property. So all those attributes are going to suffer because Mars is going to be afflicted. It is weak in the matter of the 12th house. And over there guys, unknown hidden forces, the force of the nature might also play a role. Like this could be a case that because of some natural calamity, you incur heavy losses on your ancestral property and all. Or this could be a case that someone actually filled some toxic things in the ears of your brother, of your friends, against you and turned them against you. So if Mars is going to be afflicted in the 12th house, it is a matter of concern. And because 12th house Lord is going to be potent and powerful, so this Mars is going to be creating more concerns, more troubles. This could also be on the account of the hidden enemies as well. Now guys, let's move forward. If you have Mercury being placed over here in the 12th house, so definitely guys, if Mercury is going to be strengthened, being placed over here, it is a good indication in this regard that we all know this thing that Mercury, which in itself represents discriminatory intelligence. Somehow guys, there is a biasness with Mercury being placed in the 12th house, because in the original Kal Purush Kundli, Mercury attains debilitation being there in the 12th house. So the very first thing which we get to know if Mercury is going to be strengthened in the 12th house is that native is going to be very intuitive enough in order to foresee or catch any commercial or business opportunity. Second thing is that in lot many cases it has been seen that people who deal with the secretive, undisclosed money of their clients, of their people, like these could be among those people who might have some money stashed in undisclosed accounts, which they might not have even revealed to their own family, to their even their own partners as well. So yes, Mercury being strengthened but in the 12th house can create energies in so many ways. Now guys, let's say for example, if Mercury is going to be afflicted in the 12th house, so guys, it is not a very good energy, because native might incur losses because of his wrong judgment or wrong decision making, specifically in the matters of the business. And again guys, because when we talk about the 12th house, hidden enemies, people who are envious of us, nature also plays a very important role over there. So this could be a case that because of one thing or another thing, every time native is incurring losses because things which are beyond his control. And again guys, poor judgment skills, anxiety and all can also be foreseen with a afflicted Mercury being placed in the 12th house. Now guys, let's say for example, if your Jupiter is going to be placed in the 12th house, so guys, it is a very good placement, because you know this thing that in the original Kal Purush Kundli, one of the sign of the planet Jupiter, Pisces, is generally attached with this house. So if Jupiter is going to be in a dignified state in the 12th house, this is a person who is going to be very giving to the society, to the humanity. Now whether we talk about in the form of the knowledge, in the form of the wisdom, native will definitely be unconditionally dedicated, devoted for the upliftment of the humanity, and even for sharing all of his knowledge and all. Along with that guys, because Jupiter in itself represents expansion, 12th house somehow represents that sort of divine encrypted hidden wisdom and all. So Jupiter is going to be expanding that earnestness and that desire for the attainment of that knowledge, that divine wisdom as well. And again guys, like the way I mentioned this thing that like some sort of divine protection always there around the native, and getting those instinctive guidance from his Ishta Devta and all. Like it has happened in so many of the cultures where the person who was very much dedicated to a specific god, and that god appeared in the dream of that person and gave him the guidance and all. So this is how you can attach a well placed Jupiter being placed in the 12th house. Like generally this is a typical combination where people their fortune gets awakened in the foreign land, people who go to foreign university on scholarship, do something very good, make their country, their family proud. So many ways you can connect this Jupiter well placed in the 12th house. Now guys, if Jupiter is going to be weak in the 12th house, it is definitely a matter of concern, like someone who will be relying too much on the lucky break, or native might have to face obstruction in his formal education or in the domestic life related matters as well. So Jupiter being afflicted in the 12th house and the 12th lord being in a potent strengthened state is definitely going to be a matter of concern. Like the way, for example, a lot many times people who get duped or people who get wrong mentors in the life can also be attached with a afflicted Jupiter being placed in the 12th house. Now guys, moving ahead, now let's say for example, if you will find Venus to be in a strengthened state in the 12th house. So again guys, it is a very good combination, because as you know this thing that Venus in itself represents enjoyment, indulgences, pleasure, happiness in the life. So if Venus is going to be strengthened in the 12th house, native will have this capacity to experience happiness, to see the beautiful side of the world. Along with that, native will also be a very good giver in the matters of relationship as well. Now guys, when we talk about Venus being afflicted in the 12th house, it is definitely a matter of concern. So if your 12th lord is going to be potent, powerful, and Venus in itself individually in the 12th house is going to be afflicted or weak, so it's a typical indication that when we talk about too much of the involvement in the indulgences, too much of the expenses, like going beyond your range. So this is how we can attach Venus being afflicted in the 12th house. Now guys, when we talk about Saturn being placed in the 12th house, so again guys, this is considered as one of the very good placement, because as you know this thing that Saturn is the Karaka or significator of the 12th house as well. So native will definitely know the importance and significance of the sacrifice, of the surrender, whomsoever person is going to have Saturn being placed in the 12th house. So like the way guys, we say this thing that whenever those events and things happen in our life, like the way we say this thing that for example, God forbid, you end up losing someone, because gaining and losing is a part of the life. But those people who have a strengthened Saturn in their 12th house, they know the hidden encrypted meaning and importance of it. So they will not very easily get attached to something, and even if something is going to be taken away from them, they will know the importance of it, to let go, to embrace the divine will. Along with that guys, establishing your career in far away isolated land, engaging and dedicating yourself to some sort of sadhana and spiritual religious austerity and all. So Saturn being placed in the 12th house will definitely give you a very sacrificing a nature where you will completely surrender yourself. You have this capacity. So Saturn's placement in the 12th house being dignified is like a blessing in disguise. Now guys, let's say for example, if Saturn is afflicted in the 12th house and the 12th house lord is in a potent state. So again guys, this is a kind of a typical placement where we say this thing that definitely native will find it very difficult to let go, and any of those things which will happen in the life of the native, some unpleasing incident, or like where he is going to be forced to live away in confinement, away from their family, away from their birthplace and all. So these are among those people who suffer a lot. So like they're like those people who want to settle down in foreign land, and there are like those, because even at a time when I'm recording this video, reverse immigration is at its all-time high. So that means if you have Saturn being afflicted in the 12th house, so specifically pertaining to the objective of establishing yourself in a foreign land and all, so Saturn afflicted in the 12th house might create lot many concerns for someone. And lastly guys, if you want to understand the placement of the Rahu and Ketu, so let's say for example, if you have Rahu being placed in the 12th house, so guys, like the way you know this thing that Rahu is significator of all the foreign entities and foreign things, 12th house also represents the same. So if you have Rahu being placed in the 12th house, and let's say for example, if the overall look and feel and the theme of the chart is very cosmopolitan, where a lot of emphasis goes in exploration, in traveling, doing something which is very and completely unorthodox, then this Rahu being placed in the 12th house can make you an explorer, can give you lot many international travels and exposure and all, your capacity to kind of invent something. So regarding that front, Rahu's placement in the 12th house can be seen as a good news. The only concern is that if Rahu is going to be afflicted in the 12th house, it might make you a very soft target for the scams, or can make you very gullible, where people have manipulated you a lot. So this is how you can see Rahu's connection with the 12th house. And lastly guys, if you will find Ketu being placed in the 12th house, so definitely guys, this is like a moksha karaka, liberation giving placement of the planet Ketu. And with this placement of Ketu, it places Rahu in the 6th house. So that in itself is considered as a good alignment, because as you know this thing that with Ketu's placement in the 12th house, somehow it will act as a higher octane energy of the Saturn. So Saturn being in the 12th house will teach native the lesson of letting go, of surrender, of sacrifice. Ketu over here, it's not the individual or the mentor's teacher. Nature in itself will take care of all these things. Divine, divinity, nature, universe will ensure that only those things which are meant for you, for your upliftment, for your growth, should stick to you. Rest of the things will automatically be taken away from you. And yes guys, for meditation, Kundalini awakening, and kind of experiencing that nirvana in unknown, hidden, unexplored places and all, it's a very good placement. Like definitely native is going to be blessed with a very strong intuition, with Ketu being placed in the 12th house. So yes guys, this is something which I wanted to say as a part of my inputs. For further more updates and notifications on the divine science of Vedic astrology, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on my Instagram account. Dhanyawad.